This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right. There's a lot of little bits of Browns news that has happened over the last few days that I want to talk about on this show. So let's get into it. The first thing is the Browns have signed a number of rookies to the active roster. So guys who came in as UDFAs or camp invites that ended up getting a job. And I want to acknowledge these guys, make sure that I can talk about those who have stood out in a respectful way. And I think the main guy who stood out was the wide receiver from Kent State, Luke Floria. Somebody tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Local product out of Kent State. Got to make the team. I believe he's Cleveland native, so that's what's up. Love seeing more Cleveland guys on this roster. You know what I think, right? My whole thing with the Cleveland Browns is right now they're at a tough point in building their culture. They're coming off of a 3-win season, and they need guys who care about this, right? Who care about being a Cleveland Brown. You don't need guys in here who are only in it for themselves. You need guys who care about being a Cleveland Brown. And this seems like a young person who would care about that. So love that they're giving local guys a chance here. The next thing to talk about is Andrew Berry's comments on Nick Chubb, and it was leaning this direction the further and further away we got from the draft. I have been very vocal that I think if they don't go forward with this, it is a mistake. But it does not seem like the Browns are going to bring back Nick Chubb. Now, I have my perspective on this. I have my opinion on this, but I want to also offer the counter argument to it, right? Because I don't just want to give you a one-sided, this is my opinion, I'm right about everything style coverage about it. But I do want to tell you how I feel about it. I want to tell you what the opposing part of it is. So I'll start with the opposite opinion of what I have, right? What the justification for not bringing back Nick Chubb is, although I disagree with it. And that is, look at Andrew Berry's track record when it's time to let go of a older, aging star. It's pretty solid, right? He trades Odell Beckham. That you see the tail off of Odell's career pretty much immediately. Amari Cooper, he trades him for a third-round pick. Tail off to his career almost immediately. When this organization, Andrew Berry in charge of, especially when it comes to pro personnel, which he's really good at, decides a player's too old to produce, they're usually right. Now, for me, and why I disagree with that is Nick Chubb's not most people. Nick Chubb's a very special case to me, and maybe this is just, I love Nick Chubb, right? And that's getting in the way of rationally thinking about that. I'm willing to open myself up to that being a possibility. But I would very much like it if we just gave Nick Chubb the chance. There's some players for some teams that, hey, look, I don't mind if we get one cooked year out of you because we just had to be sure you had nothing to offer before we let you go. Nick Chubb's in that class. Now, some people consider last year that. I think last year is kind of a mulligan because he was coming off of an injury. I would just, if the wheels were to fall off of Nick Chubb, I'd rather have it happen in Cleveland than in Chicago, right? And I think it's better for it to happen in Cleveland than Chicago. One, you could spare me the mental image of Nick Chubb wearing like 22 in Chicago or something odd like that. But also, I think Nick Chubb is somebody who cares about the Cleveland Browns program, who can become an ambassador after his career to Cleveland Browns football, and somebody who can make the point to younger players that you need to care about being a Brown. On top of being a presence in the locker room that's going to be well respected because of what he's done in that specific uniform. I think there's a value to that. I don't know if he's cooked on the field. I think Nick Chubb I wouldn't be surprised if he has a couple of good years left, right? It kind of reminds me of Jamal Lewis when Baltimore gave up on him, and then Cleveland got 2-3 more good years out of Jamal Lewis. I hate to see that happen somewhere else for Nick Chubb. I think that that's a possibility, but I also think you can't ignore what a presence like Nick Chubb brings to your offense, brings to your locker room, brings to your young players. And I think letting go of him and not having somebody who's in a similar position offensively. I know David Njoku's been there a while, and Joe Bitonio is there, but nobody of that stature, right, that Nick Chubb is, right? Nick Chubb's a household name amongst NFL fans. And that's something that carries favor. Like a lot of these running backs probably grew up watching Nick Chubb, as crazy as that sounds to believe, but that's really the truth, right? Quincy played in the SEC for a while. He probably was watching a lot of Nick Chubb, right? Dylan Sampson, he's only 20. So like what? When Nick Chubb got into the league in 2018, that was 6-7 years ago. Dylan Sampson, you do the math on it, he was like 13, 14 years old. Probably looking up, like that's when you look up the players, right? Looking up the guys like Nick Chubb that he's seeing dominate in the league, that came out the SEC. So I think there's a value to having a dude like that there. But if the Browns are saying, hey, we got our 2 main running backs in the draft, and then we're going to run Jerome Ford out there, I get it. I don't love it. I see how those pieces match. I understand the plan. I don't love it, right? I'd rather have Nick Chubb. Again, just because the Browns do something I don't want them to do does not give me the right to just be like, it's going to be something I'm going to shit on and never give a fair chance. It's not what I would like. And if it turns out being a bad move, I'm going to tell you that I thought it was a bad move when they did it. But, I care about this more than anything, right? So if it works out, hey, look, got to give yourself the chance for it to work out. And, with Andrew, at least he has that track record of when he's willing to let go of a player like that, he's usually been right. And that kind of makes me sadder. I don't know about y'all. But yeah, Nick Chubb not coming back. And then the Browns signed a couple of safeties. This actually surprised me. They signed, they signed DeMonte Casey, who's a familiar name for anybody who's watched Cleveland Browns football. And then they also signed veteran safety Rayshon Jenkins. So they added 2 veteran safeties here. Now, why did the Browns do this? I think the reason for doing this is pretty obvious. They're going to give Ronnie Hickman a chance to prove that he's better than these aging veterans. And if Ronnie Hickman can beat these guys out in camp, one of these aging veterans will be cut, the other one will be kept for death, and the Browns will move on promptly and be very happy about the fact that they got a starter out of an undrafted free agent. If Ronnie Hickman cannot beat one of these guys out in camp, then it is what it is, right? You start one of the safeties, you have a safe plan. I think that's what that's about. Give Ronnie Hickman a hurdle to clear in order to earn the starting job. That's what Kevin's been on very early in this season. He's talking about earning your role, earning your position. Well, this puts Ronnie Hickman in a position where he has to earn his spot, earn his keep against a veteran safety, a couple of veteran safeties that have started in the league before. So that makes sense there. One of these guys could be here to replace what Ronnie McLeod did for the team a couple of years ago too, or last year. So maybe that's part of it too. But yeah, I think that they're going to be brought in to be competition for Ronnie Hickman. And I think the Browns are hoping that Ronnie can clear that competition and they can be really excited about what they got out of a UDFA player, which is a great haul there, right? And it makes that 2023 draft? Yeah, the 2023 draft just look even better than it looks already when you get a start out of a UDFA. So good stuff there. And then the last thing that broke is J.O.K. being put on PUP. Not great. Not great. Don't feel great about this. The J.O.K. suffered this neck injury week 8 of 2024. It was strange. He wasn't put on injured reserve for the rest of the year. When it happened, you had people talking about it's going to be a miraculous return. There's been questions about if he can return to football. when I talk to people, I get mixed messages. Some people think that J.O.K. is going to be fine. Some people think that J.O.K. has played his last down. Like, there's a lot of questions about this. I think a lot of it circles not around if J.O.K. physically can move or anything. He's walking around. He's moving fine. The big question with J.O.K. is, can he get cleared by anybody to play football? And I don't think the answer looks optimistic on that front, right? They released a statement, right, saying that they put him on the PUP and injured reserve list for the remainder of the 2025 season. So this means he's not going to play this whole year, including postseason. He's going to be ineligible to practice or play. He's done for the year. He's on PUP. Like, this is huge news. Jeremiah's health is of the utmost importance to us. He has made progress during recovery. We've made the decision to place him on PUP, which means he will not play football during the 2025 season, Andrew Berry said. Jeremiah has the full support of our team. We expect him to continue to be part of the organization, even though he will not return to the field this year. We will not make any prediction about Jeremiah's future at this time, but we do note he's in good spirits and continues to take the advice of world-class medical experts who continue to guide his progress and recovery. Look, when they drafted Carson Schlesinger, one of the first things I said was, ooh, that's not great, right? They already signed Jerome Baker. They haven't done anything with Jordan Hicks. They brought back Devin Bush, and then they drafted a linebacker on top. That kind of tells you they're not super confident about counting on J.O.K. anymore. Could J.O.K. play football for this team again? It's certainly in the cards, but are the Browns going to be in a position where they're going to count on J.O.K. to be the Pro Bowler that he was before that neck injury? I don't think that's going to be the case. I wouldn't count out J.O.K. I think J.O.K. is going to find a way to play football again, but it's going to be a long road, and I think we have to accept that it's not going to be guaranteed what kind of football player he's going to be if he does return, but yeah, this is a big blow, right? I've been talking about being patient on this J.O.K. thing. Let the team tell us instead of us trying to speculate by what the team is doing. And the team told us loud and clear, something's up, right? PUP this early? I mean, it's May. They put him on PUP. Think about it like this. They haven't even put Deshaun Watson on PUP. They put J.O.K. on PUP. It's not looking great, man. It's not looking great for J.O.K. Hope everything goes well for him. Hope he gets better sooner than later. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.